But
We can
wow.
tighten it up. We can tighten it up.
No, that's all right. I was like, what is going on here? You can zoom out a little bit. That's fine. It doesn't.
Should we zoom out?
I mean, it's all good. You can just cut off like just a tad on that side. It's okay. I'll just.
We'll be all right. We'll be all right.
Yes.
So welcome everybody. Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast at Night. We have Steve and Lori here.
Hey.
Woohoo! And this has been a long time. I mean, you're a veteran, Steve. So why don't you remind people that have been under LinkedIn lockdown or something that what we're doing here and what we're going to be talking about tonight? Because I want to delegate as much time to you and Lori as possible on some of the gifts that you're sharing today, because it's inspiring, and I love watching you. And I don't always participate in every post or every exchange, but I do, in fact, try to keep up on as much as possible. So,
well, I appreciate that, Russ. I mean, I with you. I understand. There's so much to do that you can't stay on top of everything. But what I try and do is pop in and engage once in a while to let people know I'm still thinking of them, still caring for them. And I know you do that. And thanks for having me back. This is my 4th time on being a pirate.
Yes. Congratulations.
Out of how many shows? 500?
Well, we're over 500 now.
Yeah, now we're 500 plus, right?
Yeah, we're 500 plus. And so, and it is time to, I figured it was time to change it up and maybe have an evening show, because there's a lot of people that may not necessarily have access to the mornings like some of us do, but it was really nice. So welcome back, Steve. Thank you so much. And I know, Lori, you have been out and about doing some wonderful things. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm happy to be back and talk like a pirate. So only 3rd time for me, but I'm happy to be here. So it's all good. It's always fun. So I'm excited to be on Late Night with Russ. Or late night for me. I guess it's still early on the West Coast, but not even late night. When you're old, 8 o'clock now it's late.
Hey, I'm getting up at 4 a.m, so it is really old for me.
And why?
Why would you do that?
Because I took a part-time job, and I work part-time from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Okay.
Wow. That's pretty cool, though.
I mean, it's great from the standpoint of getting that job, so to speak, out of the way, and then having the day to pursue my other business initiatives.
Yeah.
But one of the things I really love about going back and working for a company in an entry-level position is I'm able, again, to see leadership from the bottom up.
Wow.
The last 20, 30 years, it's easy to forget where you started from and how people start out and what they need when they start out. And now that I've reset, so to speak, and started from ground zero with this company, I am in a great position to learn and to hopefully pull from it lessons that I can then help other leaders grow and leading their teams.
So what's the most surprising thing about that journey that you've been able to maybe catalog and want to help with other people that are, struggling in the same journey?
Well, I'll tell you what the most surprising thing was. I remember texting my wife after day 1. I learned something amazing today. I get breaks.
I was going to say, like, you leave your job and you just, you're done, right?
When you've been salaried for 35 years, there's no such thing as breaks. But when you're hourly, you got to go take a break. And it's like, oh, this is nice. I don't know why I didn't do this while I was salaried.
Yeah. Well, and in some positions, actually, Steve, when you leave the job, you don't have to think that who's going to call me next after hours or late at night and add something to my plate that is going to disrupt my life.
That is the nice thing about this job. I can do it there, be done with it, and be free of it. But back to your original question, seriously, the one thing that I've really been thankful for is this company really has a bottom-up mentality where the CEO corporate supports the associates, and the associates then support the customer. So they're very focused on their employees doing the best job they can to create the best experience they can for the customer. It's very much a servant leadership type model. I would not have expected it, but boy, have I been pleased. And what I've seen, it really is a part of that company's culture. And I can remember my wife the other day saying, Steve, in 1 month, you've gotten more appreciation than I have in the last 10 years in my job. And that is really the difference. If you're working for a company that values the employees, you're going to experience that. But if you're working for a company that doesn't, you're never going to feel that, no matter how many years you stay there.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, I want to give a shout out to a couple of people. We got a couple of people in the house. So Michael Baker in from Florida, Daniel Hall. Look at these fine souls. Thank you so much, Daniel. I really appreciate you. And I owe you a message or two. So stay tuned. Michael says, glad you have joined us. Jarvis.
Oh,
Jarvis, Charles Walker. What's up? So he's going to say, hey, hello, everyone. I thank you so much for being here. Maureen. Thank you so much. Gabe's here. Fantastic. I love it.
Man, we got a party.
And,
we have a lot of our great friends here, man.
Yeah, Marcia's good afternoon, Pirates. Love the time slot. Great way to wind down from a truly crazy day. Shout outs to Pirate Jenny Gold and Hyatt Ives. Great Pirates. Thank you so much, Marcia. I hope you're feeling better and healing well. I'm sending you positive vibes and prayers that, she had a little bit of surgery there. So she's looking out there. So Maureen says, company culture is so important.
Yeah.
And then Gabe says, hey, Lori, I believe this is the second time seeing Steve Sullivan live today.
Well, wait, there's more. There's going to be so much more of Steve.
Yeah.
Something tells me. Just a hint.
And I just love this. Yeah, so what is the main topic? Odin says, hey, what is the main topic? Well, the main topic, Steve, maybe you can talk about the UMAP process and what we wanted to talk about, some of the, just bring it up to speed and bring, catch up on life eventually, Odin. So it's just a matter of talking about life, what's bringing life to our days and some of the things that were taking place and dealing with on a regular basis. So
yeah, definitely. And so when you ask about UMAP, you are touching upon something near and dear to my heart, and I know it's near and dear to Lori's heart. We're both certified UMAP coaches, and I know Lori was there for me from the beginning when I first started to do the UMAP, and she answered some questions. She was really generous with her time, and then I became a certified UMAP coach, and we've leveraged that through several collaborations. Now, what is UMAP? UMAP is, some people call it an assessment, but I think the other day when we were talking as coaches, it's better described as a framework, a holistic framework where you're looking at 4 pillars. You're looking at the strengths as defined by Gallup and the Strength Finder assessment, looking at values where company culture really makes a big difference. Your skills, what is it that you like to do? And maybe what are some of those things that you might be good at, but you really don't like to do? Those can, even though you're good at it, they can become burnout skills. Because if you're really good at it, the people keep asking you to keep doing it, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
you're in your own nightmare.
I have a few of those skills.
Yes. And then the fourth thing is personality. You'll see a lot of companies spend a lot of time on personality, whether it's Myers-Briggs, the DISC, colors, the Holland one. You could probably, there's probably dozens of such.
There's like hundreds of personality
it's
assessments.
the end thing to do. Create a personality assessment, put it online, and sell it to people. So somebody's making a lot of money creating these tools to analyze people. But
I just really find it fascinating because there's so many ways to look at personality and how your environment impacts it as well. Because I know we have this mold and this makeup in our life, but how does the UMAP assist and support moving forward or moving away from things we don't care to, or some of the things that are impacting our lives? How does that work? And Lori, maybe you can share a perspective on that and how you see it and what it's done to help you in your life journey.
Yes. What it does is it gives you a complete picture. I think that like personality assessments, just to kind of wrap that up, in themselves, they're kind of fun. It's like one part of the puzzle, but it's just not a complete picture, because when, Steve was talking about values, whether it's corporate culture, whether it's your personal values, when there's a disconnect, it's not going to be a good fit if they're not aligned. And then you look at what you do naturally well. You want to find roles where you get to use your strengths daily. You want to find roles that align with your top values, and that so that they're honored. And you want to perform tasks and skills that you enjoy doing. So basically, how do you want to spend your time during the day? Which often we don't really think about it. I'd fall in love with the grand scheme of like, that sounds really cool. And then I was like, oh, so really I'm just doing this, or I'm, property management. Oh, I'm a glorified landlord, when the plumbing's bad or something, they call me. So sometimes when you find out and you like just peel away the layers, it's not as grand. And I think that, so often we fall in love with a title or an idea, and that maybe is like just a small portion of the job. I always think about like when I first started working, I'd get my job description, and then there'd be this tiny line at the bottom that was really about 80% of the role, which would say other duties as assigned. I was like, that was a joke. I was like, yeah, okay, so here's my role and here's the other duties as assigned. Yeah. And then just how you're hardwired, what's your personality and where are you going to thrive? Some people, the thought of being inside behind a desk, it's a nightmare. Other people, they would be happy if they were just never talked to a soul and they just poured over data all day long. Whereas there's some people that have a lot of outward facing strengths and they have to work with people. I mean, they physically need that connection. And so many people, obviously, for many reasons, but those people that really have those outward people facing strengths struggled, especially during COVID, because they were more isolated. They weren't getting that connection. And so just knowing those things about yourself, then you can find career paths that are a good fit for you. And rather than like an aptitude test where it kind of will tell you like you should just be this one thing, it tells you what you might be good at, that you have the potential, but it doesn't really tell you if you'd like it. It's just, again, it's kind of like we're not one dimensional, but yet we have all these different assessments that give us just one side or one component, and it just doesn't work. It just kind of falls short. And that's why so many people choose careers based on only one component, none.
Right.
You know, like, hey, this sounds really cool. I want to do this.
It pays me something.
I don't have any idea what they do. It's like, okay, you know, and, you know, sometimes they go on to get advanced degrees and they're still like, yeah, I don't really like this. So
I'm not really sure if I want to do this the rest of my life.
yeah, this really,
Exactly.
you know, stinks.
So let me ask you this. So you've been doing this for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I'm kind of curious, is that now that you've been involved in it, you've assessed a few individuals, and do you see traits and trends in individuals and you say they are fill in the blanks, whatever happens to be? You can notice different personalities that are in your environment or your family or, you know, around you in some way, shape, or form. Is that something that actually comes out on a regular basis and you say, oh, I noticed that?
Well, each person in some sense is unique, but as we coach people, as we learn the strengths, we learn values, you start to get a sense in watching people, you know, this person looks like they might have the communication skills because they're really good communicators. Or, you know, this person's always talking about data, so they're probably a thinker doer as opposed to a communicator out in front of other people. And as a UMAP coach, I like to kind of play that name the strength game with people. Like, I'll listen to them a little bit and I'll think, okay, you sound like you could have these strengths. And probably about a third of the time I'm accurate, and the other 2/3 I'm not on target, because some strengths manifest differently in different people, and they can manifest like another strength and in a sense complement somebody who has a similar strength coming together.
Yeah, they
So
do.
Two people, I'm sorry, but two people working together could actually amplify one of the other's strengths because of the support they receive.
Yeah, and to go to like what Steve was talking about, I mean, that's a big thing, like in, you know, not just corporate, but any kind of teams or even volunteer, nonprofit, whatever. When you look at people's strengths, then you're able to maximize productivity and efficiency by partnering and combining. Because, for example, you might have someone who has the activator strength, which we joke and say it's ready, fire, instead of, you know, ready, aim, fire. It's ready, fire, aim, because they are just ready to pull the trigger. It's like they thrive on starting projects. You need somebody to get the project off the ground and running. They are your person.
Yeah.
Completing it, now that's something a little different, okay? Because that's not their fun spot, right? I mean, getting it started. So then you want to pull somebody in that either has the responsibility strength or maybe focus strength, deliberative, somebody that's really going to be, even maximizer can help that, you know, like it shows up differently to speak to what Steve was saying. So that's like an example. If you have someone that's working on an event, you know, you might have someone who's excellent at communication or woo, winning others over, because that's a very big influential. You need donors and people to contribute money. You want your woo person in there. You need someone that can communicate and really get your message across. And then you need that person that's going to organize and put it all together. You get that arranger, because they are going to pull together everything efficiently and maximize the resources. You know, they're kind of like putting that puzzle together and, you know, using everything basically that they have access to. So you can, it's kind of fun. I mean, you know, I don't know, we're geeks, but I like it. I mean, you do without realizing it. You're going, oh, I can't wait to get their strengths and you back, because I bet you know, and sometimes you do, you're like, oh, wow, wasn't expecting that. That was a surprise. But then other times you're like, yes, I'm like, you know.
That's fantastic.
You do pick it up.
Kristen Sherry, unfortunately, she wasn't able to be on tonight, but I really think that, I just wanted to give a shout out. Gabe says, "Hey, so much wisdom from Kristen A. Sherry, Learning Tree."
Yeah.
And it's really about, I don't know how many different characteristics there are, or I'm not sure how you describe them, but I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I listened to a podcast on human design, and I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that or not, but it's a different way of looking at this very similar thing, and it might be more woo-woo than UMAP, but I just thought it was fascinating how some of the things they were saying and reflecting on it and going, okay, that seems interesting. And it was in alignment. A lot of times it was saying some of the things that I would identified or they came back with is like, okay, that makes sense. That all makes sense. Is that something that happens on a regular basis when you're doing an assessment with somebody where it comes back?
I would say that the one benefit that the UMAP profile can do for somebody is it helps them see what they're good at. You can do these assessments and there's a lot of, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I can see that myself. But then you quickly forget it doesn't really have any application to you. With UMAP, you will leave with plenty of capabilities to apply it. And you can leverage that information to become more successful. I often tell people it's not your weaknesses that you need to work on, it's your strengths. Because that's your sweet spot. Magnify those strengths, magnify your value, and you will go further than trying to make up for some areas where, hey, I just can't stay with this project long enough because I've got the next big idea and I'm an activator and I'm moving on to the next project. But I need somebody who can follow on, maybe an achiever who says,
I must be an activator because I love starting things and finishing is really a challenge for me. So
yes, exactly.
Just saying.
Yeah. So like when you know that about yourself, then, especially as like an entrepreneur, you can delegate out, those portions of the projects or partner with people that kind of pick up where you're not as strong. So it really does. It's interesting. I think one of the things, and I know Kristen has commented on this, but that has been so surprising about the whole UMAP process is the applications beyond what she originally intended. I mean, it was originally for job seekers, and she wrote the book, and then she created the certification and the framework, which was from her coaching, but basically made it all nice and in a little, package so that it looked nice. But from her years of experience and what she felt was missing, but it applies to relationships. It applies to your jobs. And so when you gain this self-awareness, and self-awareness is really the foundational component of emotional intelligence. So you lay that groundwork, that foundation of knowing how you show up in your life, personally and professionally. That's your strengths. That's how you show up and how you get things done. And then your values, why you do what you do, what matters most, the skills that how you want to perform and work on a daily basis. And then, just what makes you you, we're all, unique, but looking at those characteristics, and it really helps you kind of understand why maybe some people you don't connect with, some people you do. Maybe you connect with almost everyone. Like there's never been a person, you've never met a stranger, or maybe you can get along with almost anyone, but you really prefer like a close-knit group of friends. Like friendships for you, conversations have to be genuine. So like you might be have the relating strength. and where you can pretty much get along with anyone, but your close-knit group is only going to be a handful of people, your inner circle. So
Yeah, the relationship.
I would have to have friends before that, right?
yeah, you do. Come on.
It's really fascinating, though. I mean, the way that the last number of years have evolved for all of us is kind of a unique situation, for humanity. And one of the things that I've discovered along my journey is the fact that there's no travel restrictions. You can travel digitally, you can travel virtually, you can meet friends, even though, I consider you both friends, even though we haven't met in person. It's not a requirement to have, a
one day we will.
One day we will.
It's happening. Yes.
And the reality is that it's really important for us to understand that let's not look at the limits. Like you said, let's look at our strengths, and let's look at what we can actually achieve results with, and also who else we need to bring into our community, even if it's a small community. How do we bring those individuals in and recognize that that's the strength that we need to use to add and enhance our ability to succeed?
Yeah.
So what's that look like, Steve? I mean, what is that process? I mean, once you recognize what skill you have, what is it that you can do? Like you were talking about in your leadership, in a startup or a new position now, it's like, okay, what do you need to do next?
Well, one of the things that once you recognize what you're good at and maybe what you're not so good at, you can then reach out and try and find those people that are better than you in those other areas, and can then together you can do something greater than you would both as individuals. Certainly on the relational level, I just want to circle back to that. Very early on when I was doing the UMAP thing, I recognized the impact on a relational level. In fact, I had a conversation with Kristen Sherry. I said, Kristen, this would be the best premarital counseling any two couples could do, is to go to a UMAP coach and have their UMAPs, because once you work through that, you begin to see what the strengths are and how you can help each other. But also every strength has kind of I call it an Achilles heels, others call it a shadow side. And if you're not aware of your shadow side strengths, they can get you in trouble. And I'll give you an excellent example. I was talking with a woman who had achiever. And I was on her podcast. I was just kind of doing an informal UMAP coaching session with her. And I said, well, achiever means you are always striving for goals. You're accomplishing goals. You're doing a great job getting things done. But the one thing you have to watch out for is you'll put tasks ahead of people. And she just broke out laughing. And she said, Steve, you are absolutely right. My husband sometimes comes to me and says, do I have to get on a call to spend time with you? So yes, you've got to learn where your strengths can potentially hurt you.
Yeah. I want to bring up what Gabe had to say. I need to take my UMAP. Never really been able to do assessments because I was afraid of being labeled. It was just a thing I had trouble doing because I was afraid I would have to believe what came out of my assessment. That's an incredibly valuable point. And Gabe, thank you for sharing that, because I think it's extremely transparent. And there is a little bit of trepidation because if I know it and I have to own it, then I have to be responsible for it. And then I have to imagine what I can do with it. Right. But with great power comes great responsibility.
So. I mean, the UMAP, the nice thing about it is it's everything you do right. It clearly shows you where you're not going to shine. Okay. So like those areas that you should avoid and you're not going to do well, but it really focuses on what makes you uniquely you. So while there's career interest types, as far as like talking about labels or something, that a person might fall into, even your strengths, like Steve mentioned earlier, how they show up for us can be impacted differently. Or, you know, like if you have like empathy, for example, I think this was one Kristen was talking about, but empathy and positivity, okay, is two of your strengths. You're going to be like reassuring, and you know, you're going to get through this. Everything's going to be fine. You got this. Whereas if you have empathy and restorative, like I do, because this is one I get called out on. I'm a problem solver. Let me fix it. You know, it's like, so here's what we're going to do. You know, we're going to, which is great for my clients, but my family, not so much. Because, you know, I'm just diving in there, and like sometimes they're like, you know, I just want you to listen. So yeah, I make mistakes. I'm better at, I've listened with my clients, but we all have our like Achilles heels.
And I just want to go back to what Gabe said.
Yeah.
And Gabe, from me to you, you're unique, you're awesome, and you have a gift. So always,
yeah,
you will always be Gabe. So
I
thank you for being here.
In Gabe's comment, there's a fundamental question there that some people have, which is this assessment going to be accurate of me?
Mm-hmm.
And will I be able to trust it? And is it something then that's going to, you know, steer me in the wrong direction? And I would have to say with UMAP, just about everybody I've worked with leave feeling positive that they've learned something about themselves that they can use in their life. Because it's not about labels, it's about where you shine.
It's just about you.
Exactly. And once you start talking about these strengths or these values with people, it becomes intuitive to them. They can see themselves, because a good coach will ask you, okay, here's what this strength is as far as a definition. How does it show up in your life?
Right.
And very quickly, people are going to say, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And it then gives them the confidence to say, yeah, I am good at something. It really gives them strong confidence in going into interviews where they speak to what they've done based on their strengths. And I'll give you an example. Just before COVID, I was flying home from Dallas to Chicago, and sitting next to me was a junior in college. She had applied for an internship with a bank, one of these mega corporation banks. And there were like 1,000 applicants, and she was one of 5 picked to be brought into Chicago for interviews. And so she started talking to me about Chicago. She was a little bit concerned about the interview and what they might ask her. And I turned to her and I said, do you know what your strengths are? And to my surprise, she whips open her laptop and she had her strengths there because she had just had a class where the professor was smart enough to have all the kids go through the strength finder and find their strengths. And I talked with her a little bit about her strengths, but I told her, I said, tonight, sit down, go through each of these strengths and identify ways that you've used this strength. And then when you go into the interview, give them that information. And a couple weeks later, she got in contact with me and she thanked me. She said, Steve, I did what you said and I got the internship.
Woo, awesome. That's a happy ending story.
That's awesome.
I really love the idea that, you know, after I fell and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, I know that I went through several, and I don't know what strengths they were, what tests they were. But I remember reading what color is my parachute and trying to figure out, okay, well, what do I want to do? Because the only thing I wanted to do is be a musician. And it's like, okay, I know how to be a musician. I know how to play music. I know how to perform. And when you take that away or you remove that from the equation, it's like, well, what else do I want to do? And I've asked the same question recently. It's like, if I wasn't on social media creating shows or content, what would I do? And I'm not really, I haven't figured out an answer yet. So
I don't know either, Russ. You and I would be lost somewhere.
So it's like, I don't know. It's a different world, but I mean, not too long ago, this didn't exist. See, Steve?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of radio, television people, I guess, but that was a very limited audience. And now we have an opportunity and a stage to actually share a lot of our gifts and help a lot of people all over the world. And that's amazing to me. So I just, I really, DJ she really finds assessment as a useful tool. Absolutely. Michael Baker says application, execution principles, put it into action. Absolutely. So Gabe says, hello, super producer Tim Schoen. Yeah, we got quite a few people in the community here that are showing up. It's really, everybody.
Lots of great friends. It's great to see them show up.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I really appreciate it. Tim says, congrats on the book. So, hi, friends. Congrats on the book. Tell us about your book, Steve.
Thank you, Russ.
What adventures have you discovered through this process?
The writing a book is a production. It's not just writing a story. It's a production. The writing part was probably about a third of the work.
Yeah.
And I told my wife the other day, if I'd known how much work it took to actually get a book out there, I don't know if I would have done it. My activator skill probably would have kicked in and said, hey, this is too much. I'm giving up. But I'm thankful that I did complete it, and I learned a lot along the way. And if my book gets available on Amazon tomorrow, Amazon's had a glitch lately, so I'm beginning to worry about whether it will actually be active tomorrow.
So when it gets on Amazon, what will happen next?
People can buy the book.
Awesome.
They can order an ebook copy if they're an ebook person, but the softback cover hopefully will be out there soon. And Amazon has a new feature where you can do hardback books. And between the time I did my softback and got it prepped for publication, in the few weeks between that and the launch, the hardback cover option came up as a beta item. And so I jumped right on that, and the proof I got was awesome. But I think because I didn't have my softback totally published and I did this hardback, it's now throwing their system.
Oh, yeah.
There's some kind of chaos that I don't know if they're going to ever complete it. But anyway.
They'll get there. Because I got a secret for you. And thank you, Foley. You're awesome. Love you. Take care. The reality is that we could jump on an Amazon Live too. I've had Marsha on there and talking about some of her products, which is Stay Well Copper. And there's a lot of people that are on there. You know, Junaid is on there. I know that Chris Stone and Jim Fuse is on there. And what we could do is put the book in the cart and then jump on a live and talk about your book and what it's all about. So
that would be great because
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of people in the LinkedIn family have been a support and a contributor to it. I mean, Lori has been one of my big contributors, both in the early going and through what will probably be my second book, which is on strengths. But as I was talking to people today on my stories, they're based around metaphors.
Mm-hmm.
And the metaphors then push people to think outside the box in terms of the message that's being delivered. And I'm not necessarily delivering an answer. This is not a how-to book. This is a what-if book. What if I put these things into practice in my own life? How would I do that? And what might be the outcome of that? So if you're a thinking person and if you're a story lover, you will love this book. And along the way, I've had people like Lori contribute in small to big ways. I was telling somebody today, Lori, it's like they were asking me about my stories. I said, a few of my stories came from the ideas of my followers. And you, Lori, provided one of those ideas when you came to me and said, Steve, experienced workers, us older workers, aren't valued. And can you write a story about how to value experienced workers?
Yeah.
And so I
remember that.
I created a story around Scotch whiskey because the really good Scotch whiskey is like 50 years old.
Yeah.
You know, you can get 5-year Scotch whiskey, but it's not this. It's still bitter. It's not as smooth. There's differences there, and I drew upon that in the metaphor in the story, and that story resonated with more people than any other story I've written.
Wow.
The number of views I've gotten on that story are 3 times higher than my second highest
Holy cow.
story.
Holy cow.
So I thank you, Lori. That we really
Yeah.
touched upon.
See, that's collaboration in the making. So Lori, are you going to write a book as well?
I have written a 14-page ebook. No, that took me like a month and a half.
Hats off to you. Hats off to you. Give yourself credit.
Free. It's free download.
Give yourself credit.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of work. That's why I told Steve, because he asked me, and I was like, it took me like a month or two to write that and edit and format it. So yeah, no, I mean, maybe down the road. I mean, I'm interested in speaking opportunities and presentations. I'm better with short form. So I could do short stories maybe, or better yet, like when I don't have to write them and I just can get up there off the cuff, or, I'll practice. Don't worry.
I love it.
I'm not a loose cannon. I mean,
yeah.
She's surrounded with people who've written books, so she's going to get there someday.
She will get there. Amazon Live with Russ and Tony Sagar has been totally awesome. Totally unexpected door opened today.
Wow.
Fantastic. So much for that. And that's what we're talking about here. All of the friends and the family and everybody that's involved in our process and our journey. There's so many people out there that are cheering us on and hoping us, even on those days where you're just down and you're out and you're thinking, what is the point? And I just want to remind people that you make it matter. You make an impact. You make a difference. And I just want to make sure that I thank you both for what you do, and the fact that you're in the community and you're part of this community. You were on Early Adopters, and you've watched me ramble on episode after episode, and it's just like one of those things that I just I find a lot of joy around. So I just want to thank you and make sure that I share that gratitude with everyone. So
well, thank you, Russ. Because I
thank you.
I was telling somebody today, we were talking about networking, and successful networkers serve first. When you serve other people, you build those relationships that then those people want to help you. And I'm a prime example of that. I've gotten incredible help from people like you and Lori, purely out of friendship.
Yeah.
And that just endears you guys to me more, and hopefully whatever I do endears me to you. So
absolutely,
that's a community that's worth being a part of.
Mhm.
And I'm so thankful for you guys.
Well, and I'm really appreciative of all of the people that show up, and there's been a lot of pirates come through, and people come and go, and they enter in your life for a reason or a period of time, and we're not meant to stay stagnant and stay in one place and exist in a vacuum. And I just want to make sure that everybody appreciates the fact that you have made a difference in my life, and some of the things that have impacted my life have been a direct result of putting this show together and asking questions and the curiosity that I have for, discovering who you are and what you're doing. And I think that you both share that trait in a lot of ways, in asking questions and going deeper and saying, okay, what is this UMAP thing, and how can we use it for a positive outcome? And I think it's really important for people to understand that you guys are humble. You're here. You're doing great work, and it's an awesome opportunity to actually make those connections. So if you're not connected with Lori and Steve, boom, make it happen.
Please connect.
Yes, connect. Send us a connection. Let us know. Say, I watched the Pirate Podcast.
Yes.
Yeah,
before I poof and disappear, because my laptop just gave me a warning on the power.
Oh, nice.
So.
Yeah. We're close to wrapping up too, Steve. So it's so share what you wanted to share.
I want to encourage people to voice life, to use the power of words for life. And my stories in my book speak to this in many subtle ways. And if you love stories, you'll love my book. If you've read something like Who Moved My Cheese, it's a business fable book, you'll love my book. Because that's the genre I'm trying to write towards. Only instead of it being one long story like a fable, it is 30 small, short stories, episodes that makes it very easy for an individual to read one a day for a month and treat them almost like meditations and grow in how they interact with people, how they lead people. And so I encourage people to buy a copy and get copies for your boss and change the world.
Friends and family, share it out.
Yes,
and when
Christmas
it comes on
is
Amazon,
coming.
we'll do a show and we'll talk about it. And
Thank you, Russ.
Mine said it was going to be available, so I'm hoping it ships tomorrow. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Prime, so I'll let you know when mine shows up. But I just, gosh, thanks so much. I mean, it's a real treat to be back here, and also to be sharing it with Steve, and having his book come out tomorrow. So I'm pretty excited for him because like I said, I've seen him from writing the kind of the weekly stories to saying, hey, I should write a book. Oh yeah, I'm thinking about it, to where we are now. But I wanted to kind of like leave somebody, or not somebody, but everyone with just kind of like, I guess, kind of bringing the UMAP full circle. Like because it was a couple of things that were brought out tonight. Like you were talking about like how you've been evolving, and, like you pioneered like really broadcasting on all these different platforms, and, using StreamYard and doing these things before a lot of people were doing it, and then wrapping it up and putting it out as a podcast. And I think, and then Gabe talking about like being concerned about being labeled, and, just how different people are feeling. I think one of the thing is, and somebody else, I can't remember if it was you, Russ, but we're not stagnant. We're always evolving. And I think that that's where the difference in the UMAP framework helps, is because once you have that knowledge of yourself, you're able to really identify and move through life, move on to different opportunities. Then what's right for you. And it also is very empowering, because I think sometimes, and whether you're a job seeker, which I have been, and that is just really can be a struggle. But even if you're just, searching for your next, I think that we always tend to undervalue, and with your strengths, you discount what you do naturally well. You don't think it's special. And just calling that out and naming it and identifying it and giving that language to articulate it is a gift that I want everybody to know and experience, because, and I'm not just trying to sell you Map and the Strings, but if you want to buy it from the scale, that's okay. But seriously,
but he is a great coach.
But seriously, though, I do think that it's something that I wish every single person knew from an early age, which is one of my missions, is to really get students, learning this information so that they don't go through life being miserable, hopefully, and really develop that value.
Yeah. And that's like DJ says, all of you have been amazing contributors to my growth this year. And DJ, love you, and continued success in all your adventures. And also, she asks, when is the 24-hour stream coming?
I will be there, Russ.
Book me before 9 or 10.
Yeah. We'll have to work on that one. I would love that. I'd love the opportunity to do that. So,
I think you could probably do that. You got enough people across the globe. You could make that happen. It's you just have to, have some people that kind of fill in between.
The pirate journey. We could have a world map and everybody that's popping up, and we could have it show up.
That would actually be fun.
It would be a blast. I think there's been a couple of streams that have gone 24 hours. So it's, and I think I've participated in a couple of them. And it's just,
I think Gabe did one. I mean, he did a great one.
It's fantastic. And it's one of those things that we all have, like I always say, we all have a gift, we all have a message, and we just have to put it out there and produce some outcomes that are going to help more people. And I just, this evening show or the afternoon show, whatever time zone you're in or whenever you're watching this, it's really important for me to know that I'm going to continue to show up. I enjoy these conversations, and I love highlighting other people. And also, I'm doing things in my world that I'm starting to create courses and doing webinars again after a long hiatus.
Okay, that wasn't in the rehearsal.
Slapstick humor in here.
That was not on the script.
Okay, there went my new light. So I don't think it's broke, but it's okay. It's good.
We'll wrap it up, and
it's the end.
Go salvage it.
It's fine. It was a cheapie from Home Depot. Like, I've got my fancy ring light and other ones, but then I just have this other little side light thing because I'm usually in the dungeon. So
But reality is that we're all on a journey. We're all moving forward, and if we can move forward in a positive way, that increases our joy of living, and just remove the things that don't bring you any happiness or joy in your life, and it makes life so much easier. It's just really makes a difference. And I continue to remove things from my life, and so it helps. It really helps. And I just really appreciate both of you being here tonight, and thank you so much for everybody joining in on the conversation. It's really important for us to actually continue this, and sign up, follow the Pirate Broadcast, go to YouTube and get some of that thing. Steve's laptop died. So a calamity of errors here. So
I made it almost to the end. It's like when the end, people are gonna be like, "Whoa!" on the broadcast, what happened, or the podcast only? They'll be like, "What happened?" So,
but we're here, we're loving life, and we're enjoying the things we're doing. So if you can have that in your life, wake up with a little gratitude. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to look through that perspective and that lens. So, Lori, I really appreciate you, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I had fun.
It's good to see you.
Yes.
So
thank you for having me be on here and crash your party, literally. So who knew I brought my own sound effects, right?
No crashing required. No crashing required. So everyone, thank you so much. Pirate Broadcast is now streaming on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 a.m. So join us in the morning, 7 a.m. Arizona time, which is Pacific Standard Time. until the time change. And then also every Wednesday at 5 Arizona time. And also I'm putting some webinars out there. So stay tuned, pay attention to the webinars. I'm dropping lots of nuggets of knowledge in those things. And if you need to grow your business and use video and you want to adventure down that path, I'm here to help. So look forward to those. And with everybody, kindness is cool. Smiles are free. So you enjoy the day. Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.